Hello and welcome to all of our friends and possibly clients soon. Joining us here at the Immigration Conversation, of course, with the one and only attorney Sharif Silmi. Hi, Sharif.
Hey Mary, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. It's a little rainy here where I'm at right now.
Okay, good.
It's great.
Well, at least it's not freezing cold like it
I
is
know,
where we are.
know where you guys
But
are.
we're almost done with February, and spring's around the corner.
Mhm.
So hopefully that will bring good tidings and good luck for everybody out there, especially our clients. Actually, literally while I was waiting to come on, I was just monitoring my emails, and I seen two approvals come within 5 minutes of each other. So I'm really excited about that. I think I forwarded one of them to you so you can let them folks know, and another another team member is going to let them know. But yeah, I mean, we're just seeing more and more of the same in terms of approvals, and really happy about that. And I think one of the probably one of the important reasons is one of the subjects that we're going to talk about today.
Yes, right. So we have a little bit of time before we head on over back to your very happy clients. But for now, Sharif, when people consult, they always ask, "Will Sharif help us with the letters?" I mean, how important are letters, and like, how do you make the most out of letters when it comes to filing your EB1A or your NIW cases?
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing I think is really important, and I've repeated this over and over again, is authenticity. I think that one of the huge mistakes that people make when it comes to their approach to letters is that they want to like explain to the adjudicator, or maybe like check certain boxes that they think are important. Maybe they have heard from friends or folks online. And what they end up doing is writing like 10 different biographies about themselves from 10 different people. And it really doesn't make any sense, because essentially you are repeating the same thing over and over and over again. And I don't think it actually makes any impact with the adjudicator. What you ought to do is to think about letters as testimony. And what we do in terms of our approach at Silmi Law is to really be precise, and we consider any affirmative petition, such as a national interest waiver or an EB1A, to be, which it actually is, an administrative proceeding. And as an administrative proceeding, it's essentially like you have to imagine you're in court. And when you're in court and you're putting on a trial, you certainly are going to use witnesses along with other kinds of evidence, right? So when a witness takes the stand, they're not going to just, like give a biography about the subject of their testimony, right? What they're going to do is they are going to think more, or they're going to answer specific questions that they're actually qualified to answer. So, when and the first thing that happens when you have a witness or a person who's giving testimony, they need to explain who they are, right? Because why are they there in the first place? Why are they, actually being called to the stand before the court? So those who are out there and are trying to provide a scenario for EB1A approval, why are you using the particular person who is providing that testimonial letter, right? Like, what is their value? What is their relevance? What is their importance to your case? That is a very important question that needs to be a preliminary question before you even get into it. Is this the right person to make the statement? And I wrote an article about this a few years ago. And one of the things that I mentioned there, and I think it's still relevant, is that, USCIS will always take into consideration who is providing the letter and the relationship between the petitioner or the beneficiary and the individual providing the letter. So the closer they are in terms of relationship, the less valuable that testimony will be. There's an exception to that, and I'll explain it. But for the most part, if you are thinking that some person is going to provide testimony that's going to help establish that you are at a certain level within your field, then you need to make sure that they are outside of your circle of professional acquaintances. Someone who is tied to you, someone who works with you, they cannot explain to the adjudicator why you are exceptional in the case of a national interest waiver or extraordinary in the case of an EB1A. That is not going to work. And what I had mentioned is regarding credibility is that the relationship or affiliation between the beneficiary and the witness is a factor that USCIS will consider when evaluating the weight of the witness's statements. It is generally expected, and by the way, this is probably one of the main reasons that people get denied. Listen to this. It is generally expected that one whose accomplishments have garnered sustained national or international acclaim, that's the standard for EB1A, would have received recognition for their accomplishments well beyond the circle of his or her personal and professional acquaintances, right? So what that is saying is, or what younger Sharif is saying here, is that basically you need to understand that if you are not able to demonstrate recognition within your industry, within your field, then the statements do not have any weight to them, right? They need to be independent statements that are outside of your circle of personal and professional acquaintances. In fact, I've even seen where they say, like, a letter is a solicited document. Therefore, we are not obliged to consider it as like important or probative evidence. So, you really have to be careful in terms of who you're getting a letter from and how it's being used. And I would really say, I mean, again, going back to that point about why cases are denied, this is a specific reason for denial, meaning you can meet all three, you can meet 3 criteria, 4 criteria, 5 criteria. If the adjudicator determines that all of the testimony that you have provided in your case comes from individuals who are within your circle of professional acquaintances,
Like your
and
friends.
failed to demonstrate that you are recognized in your field, then they will fail you on final merits determination.
Okay, right. So, first of all, I just wanted to comment, like, you stating that it's like a, like a court case, right? That
Mhm.
you have witnesses. That's a beautiful, like, way to look at it. I never looked at it like that. And you said you did write an article, so I think it's stuck to my heart and my mind, like something like, letters, while not without weight, do not form the cornerstone of a successful EB1A or NIW petition. That's what I
Wow,
learned.
I'm impressed, Mary. That's awesome.
You know? Yes, so it's like I'm really grateful to be learning a lot from you, and I'm sure many of our friends are too. So just a few quick questions, and some of our friends would like to ask about ChatGPT. So let's get into that later on,
Okay.
like how we can make use of technology right now. But just very quickly about what you shared. Um, Many of our clients like would like to know, but how about my boss, right? How do we, for example, or a manager I used to report to, or like the vice president of the company, like when you said, Sharif, that people who are not within, like, who are not really close to you, of course, obviously not your family, right? But
Mhm.
like, how about my former colleague who can really be a good witness? I mean, like, will they not qualify as somebody who can offers a client a letter? How do we like handle like those who really worked with you and can really be good, like, who can really provide good testimonials? How do we handle those things?
Yeah. So one who has actually worked with you, and it could be somebody within your vertical, like a higher up, or a former colleague, for example, who, first of all, they have to show that they're truthful. So one way to show that you're truthful is to, for example, be able to provide testimony on behalf of an organization or a company. So if I say, look, I'm, here and I'm providing this testimony on behalf of, my law firm, Silmi Law, our firm, has, the honor of, Mary being a part of our team for the last several years, and the work that she has done has, changed the direction of our organization. She has instituted, new policies and ideas that we did not previously use, and these have resulted in a material gain of substantial level within our company, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I can make factual statements about what you have done on behalf of the organization, and then the adjudicator will believe it, right? Now, the issue is there's nothing I could say that will demonstrate that you qualify for EB1A as a final merits determination. And the final merits determination is the real deal. I mean, people are always worried about the criteria, but honestly, go look at the appellate decisions from USCIS. There's like literally thousands and thousands of cases that have met 3 or more criteria, but nonetheless are denied. And the reason why they're denied is because they failed the final merits determination. And then, people get upset. Why? How could they have done this when I met 3 criteria? It's because if I essentially provided that testimony about Mary, I can show that she performs a critical role for the organization. I can show that factor. Maybe she authored an article. Maybe she, did, reviewing of others' work. So she meets 3 criteria. But has she demonstrated that she transcends the organization? Have we, shown that the work that she's done is significant to the entirety of the industry, right? Because that's the standard. So by just having a, praise from somebody within your organization, you might check off, a particular criteria, perhaps, but you're not going to meet the final merits determination. Now, here's the other thing. If we're thinking about, for example, original contributions of major significance, the person within your organization may be able to help you with originality, but they sure as hell cannot help you with significance. There's nothing they could do that will help you to demonstrate that the work that you have done is significant. This is very, very, very important, and continuously is, people fail to recognize this. How do you show that what you've done is significant? Well, it's a letter from your boss is not going to demonstrate that what you've done is significant to your entire field. They could maybe demonstrate that the work you have done is significant to the outcome of your organization's activities. But that's not going to demonstrate the, requirement of significance to the field. So that becomes the issue. So there is value in having testimonial statements from your employer, but there's also limitations as well. And, again, I mean, I look at things like, basically like pieces to a puzzle. Yeah. And at the end of the day, you need to put together that, beautiful picture that the puzzle, when it comes together, it forms. But, it has to be piece by piece. You can't have like one, letter from somebody that that's going to tell your whole story, or a bunch of letters from people that that's going to tell your whole story. Piece by piece by piece. In fact, some letters might be really, really short, and and they do a lot. I mean, they're really amazing. So maybe that's something we could do one day, is to just have a seminar about, like, specifically, why these short letters actually can be better than longer letters if you use the right kind of language.
Yeah. So like 2 things you said a while ago, there's this biography and testimony. So they should learn to veer away from making a letter like your biography, right? And like making all 10 of them, right? It has to be like, a testimony that really is optimized to help you, right? I Googled a while ago the meaning of optimizing. So it means to serve a specific function. So it's not just like, just throwing in words in there, writing a whole biography like 5 times or 10 times. So I think Attorney Sharif, now many of our clients, right, many of our happy clients, so they're in the technology sector, right? And many of them, surprisingly, even if they're in the technology sector, one of them actually told me that, oh, it's just Sharif who taught me how to use Chat GPT, right? I'm sure you know who that
Mhm.
client is actually using Chat GPT, right, to respond to us, which is awesome. So my next question would be on behalf of some of our clients, and even myself, how do we like maybe make the most or use get as much as we can from technologies such as Chat GPT and maybe other similar sources out there in helping
Yeah,
us optimize letters?
sure. I mean, I think the first thing you need to understand is know what the limitations are, because if you know the limitations, then you'll be able to correct it, because you probably need to, at least I have needed, when I've used it, to um, like, probably use like 8, 9 prompts before I get to a place where I'm feeling better about something that I could then take and start to reformulate myself. So it's, like if you just say, oh, dear ChatGPT, provide me a recommendation letter from Mary, saying that I qualify for EB1A because I've worked on a specific case. It's not going to do anything that's going to be useful in a proceeding, particularly if you're going to use it in that format. And then the other thing is, it does have very commonly repeated language that makes it easy to spot as robotic,
Mm-hmm.
like things like furthermore, or like there's just language that you see over and over and over again that's being
Mm-hmm.
used. Another one, it uses a lot of but, meaning it says things like uh it'll say things like, for example, in addition to in addition to, or not only has Mary done such and such, really well, but she has also done such
But
and such really, really well, right?
mhm.
Um, so that's like a like that's not a way to really write. I mean, you should say she's done such and she has done such and such. So, but like I'm saying, but essentially that is really, really common. And then when you see that over and over and over again in every letter, and then you also start to see like repeated language or repeated styles, it becomes dangerous. So the way that I think folks could use it very effectively, though, is taking it segment by segment.
Okay.
Meaning, if you want to just like focus on, a few sentences,
Mm-hmm.
and then you write out like exactly the facts and information that you want to convey, and
Okay.
then essentially tell the AI to like rewrite this with the a proper grammar or a more sophisticated grammar and style. I think it does a good job of that.
Okay.
um or sometimes maybe a less sophisticated grammar style, depending on the situation. So it could help with that sort of situation. But whatever you are like kind of formulating, that needs to be obviously reviewed by the person who's gonna adopt the letter, and and they need to inform that process. So like, for example, they might provide a draft of what they want to say, and then say, okay, can you review it? And then when I'm reviewing something like that, I mean, it makes it really easy. I mean, honestly, I have basically found that it takes me more time to develop a letter using ChatGPT than it does to just do it myself,
Mm-hmm.
because going back to that puzzle piece situation, it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to like get it to like understand what all the other evidence is already in the case. So it ends up kind of not really tailoring it exactly how I wanted it, even after. But it does, like, if I get a really messy one, it
Mm-hmm.
could help me to sort of bring it to some level of
Like what?
competence
Okay.
before I engage in that more like direct review. So
Mhm.
I think people can use it that way. Like if your witness is giving you some kind of like, statement that is really rough and you want to kind of get it into a little bit better shape before you make your recommendations to them,
Mhm.
then I think it's very useful in that way. It's also useful to search for things, just like Google, but I think it's better, like you could tell it to find certain things, related to a product or whatever. So I
Okay.
think that is probably the better use that I've seen, particularly as it relates to, the reputation of organizations.
Mhm.
It does a pretty good job of, identifying the reputation related documentation of, the more well-known companies, and, gives you like where to find more info about them and stuff. So I find it more useful there than in letters. But certainly it is, it helps, especially if somebody doesn't write well.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So that's, yeah, a lot really, and very useful information. Thank you so much, Sharif. And I think we have like a few clients waiting for us. We're gonna do a few
Okay.
calls, Sharif.
Yeah, exactly. No, I appreciate the opportunity. I just say to everybody out there, like, understand that like the most important thing about your case is that it's credible. It has to be authentic, and it cannot just be manufactured with a flawed foundation. So when you're developing your letters, you need to do it in such a way that conveys authenticity, trustworthiness, credibility, uh repute, or like being reputable essentially. And so that's not easy to just do without some skill, experience, and talent that will identify what is actually, that reputable. And even if you're going through a process where you're doing it maybe with your company attorney, you're doing it yourself, we do have and offer working sessions where you can book those a la carte, and we'll work with you directly on your evidence. So I think that will be really beneficial for people, and I've seen it time and time again make such a big difference. So yeah, thank you again, Mary, for the opportunity to talk with you and everybody out there, and hopefully we'll do this again soon.
No, thank you, Sharif, for all the success. You've changed a lot of people's lives, immigrants' lives, right? Especially people who really want to stay here in the United States. And to the rest of our clients who continue to trust us, thank you for bearing with us. Attorney Sharif makes it look easy. We have approval after approval, but like what he said, it's like a puzzle piece, right? So it's a matter of putting in the work, like really, and of course, learning all that you can, utilizing, optimizing every resource. But of course, nothing beats, right? The one and only Attorney Sharif, who's able to really curate and tailor make your specific, right, cases, and hopefully it will all end up to success, like just like what many of our very happy clients have been experiencing. So we'll be back for our next live sessions, but for now I hope that you do visit us and book your consultations with Attorney Sharif at www.silmilaw.com. So I think that's it, Sharif.
Thank you, Mary.
All right, thank you, and bye, Sharif, and thank you, everybody. We'll see you in our next